The question there is about guard dog training. What's the difference between training and raising a dog?
A person leaves the house. It's a common problem. The person leaves home, and the dog starts howling, barking, destroying property, yeah, chewing the wallpaper, yeah.
And I have to ask, why did the dog end up in a shelter? At what age do you think a child, as they say, can have their own dog? Dear friends, good day. Today I'll be talking with a very interesting person that is, well, I've known him for a long time. We're on a first name basis, and after 25 years we met, strangely enough, in Dubai, even though he's on one side of the planet. I'm on the other side of the planet, so now for this person, well, let me introduce him first. For those who don't know, he's a very experienced, highly qualified dog behavior specialist. I'll also kind of set aside the word training. And I often have to explain to my patients, my clients, what to do with a dog, how to handle a dog. I'd like to either confirm what I've said or perhaps even debunk my own words. So it'll be a short podcast. Let's get straight to the question. Antoine, good day. I'm very glad to see you. I'm very happy that you're in Dubai right now. And now you're going to pull back the curtain on many questions.
With pleasure.
Please, the first question, that people ask me most often. What's the difference between training and raising a dog?
A very good question. I'll be happy to answer. Grigory, training implies teaching commands. Sit, down, stay. That's wonderful. But raising a dog implies establishing status. To make it clearer for our viewers, I'll give an example. For instance, a person leaves the house. This is a common problem. The person leaves home, and the dog starts howling, barking, destroying property, yeah, chewing the wallpaper, yeah. The question is, the dog is trained, no, sit, down, give paw, stay, yeah. How can that help the dog in this situation not to howl and stay home calmly? I mean, how can these commands help?
Well, I think they can't.
Exactly, I'm of the same opinion. So knowing these commands, sit, down, stay, won't help a dog stay home calmly alone. But raising them will help. The difference between raising and training is exactly that. Raising implies rules, boundaries, prohibitions, and status, since a dog is a pack animal. In its understanding, even in its DNA, there's a hierarchy, a hierarchical ladder. The one who's in charge is the one who leads the pack. That's exactly what I rely on. Training is good too, but it's just teaching certain commands. Commands can't help a dog stop howling when left home alone. Or let me give you another example. A dog knows sit, down, give paw, stay. All the commands. But he wants to lunge at another dog. For instance, in this situation you say sit. The dog knows the command, he sits, but the desire to attack doesn't go away. You say down in this situation. He lies down because he knows the command, but again, the desire to attack from a lying position doesn't go away. But upbringing is completely different. A well-raised dog considers the owner's opinion. He understands that I'm not the commander-in-chief, my owner is. And training doesn't lead to that. Training is just commands. Yeah, the dog says, we're friends, we're equals, you say sit, I sit. But I still want to attack that dog. But upbringing says that the human status must be higher. And so, out of respect for that human status, the dog won't lunge at other dogs.
You and I are old school dog people, right? We're from the generation when dogs were still named Vernie, Ali, Vulcan, Carrie. Nobody was naming dogs Gucci or Versace back then. Now, here's a very important question. Okay, say someone puts their dog through a training course. Then the topic of protection training comes up. When people mention it, I'm usually against this protection training. Because teaching a dog, to put it simply, to apprehend is easy, but putting the brakes on it, that's the hardest part. Still, the dog. I had a shepherd, and I never used words like attack, get him, or stranger. I just say, someone's bothering me here, and she'd just bark, that's it, that was enough for me. She'd look for who was bothering me, yeah, and that was enough. So if it's someone's first dog, if they live in a big city, if they walk the dog in crowded places, and say, if there are kids at home, if guests come over often, do you even recommend training a dog in this?
I categorically do not recommend it. Categorically.
I'm sorry, I'll interrupt, by the way, just so you know, if your dog bites someone specifically in the Emirates, you face huge fines, up to a lawsuit, and even jail time. Sorry for interrupting, but it's a very important point since we're in Dubai right now.
To teach a dog to protect its owner, first of all, it must be strictly at the human's discretion. The dog shouldn't take independent steps because, for example, Grigory and I haven't seen each other in a long time. For instance, Grigory or I, let's say, have a dog nearby that's been trained to protect its owner if some unusual situation occurs. For example, let's say I meet Grigory and I haven't seen him in a long time. His dog doesn't know me. I walk up and say, "Hey, Grigory," and go in for a big hug like this. But what if the dog thinks I'm some kind of threat and lunges at me, right? It turns out Grigory and I are friends, but his dog saw me as an intruder and attacked me because it decided to do so on its own, because that's how it was trained. A dog should only protect its owner when the owner actually wants it to. Naturally, Grigory, I don't recommend training for protective guard duty. The dog is already disobedient, and then we add protection training, which involves biting. In essence, we're giving the dog a weapon, and it's going to use it. There have even been situations, friends, where a dog used that training against its own owner. Against its own owner. So, if you're thinking about that kind of training, which I don't recommend, you should only do it if your dog obeys you perfectly, off-leash, without question, even in public with lots of distractions. And listens to you. In that case, you can consider it. Until you have that result, I personally don't recommend it, friends. Because it just creates problems.
I agree with you. And there are two more very important questions here. Since we're talking about Dubai now, here's the first one. A person comes in and says, "I want a dog." What kind of dog do you want? Well, I don't know. Something small and pretty. Have you had dogs before? No. I just want a dog right now. It's just when someone comes in and says, "I want a dog." For instance, my first instinct is to talk them out of it, right? Because why take on that headache of getting a dog? Because a dog is, first and foremost, well, for me, because I've had dogs my whole life. I sleep at home because I have to walk the dog before bed. I wake up early in the morning because my dog needs to go out to do its business. We have to go outside. So I think it's a huge responsibility, and I try to discourage them. As a professional yourself, if people come to you and say, "Antoine, we had a family meeting and decided our daughter is 4 now, and she's always dreamed of having a cane corso. So we're ready now and we want to get a dog."
No, let me explain why. First of all,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is also a very, very important question. Like I started to say, when they come in and say, "We want a dog for our child," at what age do you think a child can truly, as they say, have their own dog?
Grigory, look, in my experience, when a dog is bought for a child, it only lasts for a month or two. The child plays with it, and then the child says, "I don't want it anymore." And all the responsibility falls on the parents. So if you're thinking about getting a dog, it has to be, a conscious decision made by the entire family. The whole family must be involved in raising the dog.
And not just like that. Sorry, I'll jump in here. I always advise single people against getting one. I mean, I try to talk them out of it. I say, look, if you're a writer, like in White Thin Black Ear, meaning you, stay home all day, writing a book, and in your free time, you go out for a walk with the dog. But if you work in an office or somewhere where you leave at 8 in the morning and come back at 6, I don't recommend those people get a dog.
Then what's the point?
The point is that it's the 21st century now, and everyone says, we're putting the dog in daycare. Again, let them throw stones at me, but I'm against doggy daycare.
Well, first of all, a person should understand what happens in that daycare every day. maybe the dog will learn some destructive.
I'm by no means against that business, but
We want to protect you, that's the thing.
there's another side to the coin. I mean, well, the man, thank God, has his own channel. He answers those questions of yours. You have his YouTube there. I just don't want to make the podcast too long so everyone watches it through, but if you have questions on this, you can ask them on YouTube.
I'll go further, Grigory. I'll go further and say that I have one video where, at the end of that video, I say myself that I don't advise you to get a dog until you understand the psychology of this animal, until you study the nature of this animal, what their perception of our world is based on, until you study all of that. You know, getting a dog could really backfire on you. I'd like to give people some advice of my own. Yes, friends, I strongly advise you, I even beg you, don't get a dog based on emotions. It must be a sober decision by your whole family because a dog is, you know, a huge responsibility for 10 to 12 years. Friends,
It's not a car, not a piece of iron. It's a living.
in my view, please think about it. You can't get one on emotion just because you emotionally want a dog right now, because in a month those emotions fade and you'll ask yourself, the question, why did I need this? The reason I'm saying this is that I have huge experience with it, friends. I deal almost every day with what Grigory and I are talking about right now.
And also, in parallel, a very interesting topic. You see this everywhere now on all social media. Don't buy, adopt from a shelter. Okay, a person decides to adopt from a shelter, a good deed, thank God. What should they be prepared for?
First of all, Grigory, there's a right way to adopt from a shelter. First, friends, you just need to understand what kind of dog you want. How many members are in your family? You need to make the right choice, to get a male or to get a female. All of this matters for the future.
And it's worth asking, why did the dog end up in a shelter? Maybe the dog has some behavioral issues there or something. Why did the dog end up in a shelter? Why did the previous? I mean, this isn't a dog caught off the street. In Dubai, we don't have dogs just caught roaming the streets. This means it's a surrendered dog.
Exactly. And so, it means there's some problem they couldn't handle.
A person should really know this problem 100%.
Of course, so they know what they'll be working with by taking this dog.
Well, for example, I recommend to everyone, at least a specialist, don't choose based on emotions. Oh, he chose us himself. A dog can never choose you. You must choose the dog. I recommend consulting with specialists. See if this dog even fits you. Will you be a plus-minus together, or will you be a minus-minus for each other? Because, well, living together should be comfortable for the person first and foremost, then for the dog. If you coexist like that in one space, you'll suffer, and in the end, you'll make the dog suffer. So which specialist should one contact? Well, how to choose correctly so this dog doesn't go back, so to speak, doesn't return to the shelter, but finds a forever home, a forever family, and is happy.
If we go by the scenario you just described, Grigory, there are no such stray dogs here now. People are simply surrendering their own dogs. And what could the reason be? I want to reassure our viewers that any problem, friends, as those who know me know, any problem can be solved. But first, you need to understand why this dog was given to a shelter and what problems you'll face. And are you ready for that? You see? Because you must understand, the dog was given up because of this problem. And you took it from the shelter, right? Do you know these problems and are you ready to solve them? Grigory, I want to say this. People have always suffered and will, unfortunately, continue to suffer from ignorance. From ignorance. So, friends, I gladly share as much as possible. I share knowledge on my channel to help both you and the dogs. Therefore, please don't get emotional. Look at the situation soberly. Emotions stop us from looking at the world with a sober eye. And when emotions subside, a sober, sound perspective kicks in. So I really ask you to choose not with emotions, but with a sober, sound look at the situation.
Well, I think we'll leave it at that for today. Clearly, we can't say everything about dogs in just one conversation, because they've been living with humans for 10,000 years. It would take at least 10,000 days of sitting here to tell even a small part of their story. So if you have any questions, please reach out and we'll be happy to, try to find the right solution for you. Have a great day, everyone, and stay in good spirits. Thank you. And it's good to see you. Welcome to Dubai.
Me too. Thanks for having me. Friends, peace and all the best to everyone.